Hello everyone, this is a continuation of our video from the Blackstone Valley Art Association photography demo where we shot some images using a Nikon FM camera. It's this one here, using Ilford HP5 film. We then developed it in the Ilford Simplicity starter kit and ended up with a series of images which look very nicely, turned out very cool. What I wanted to show here is my methodology for scanning them into a computer, so then you can you process them and print them out and do whatever you like with them. So what we have here is, first off, we have the images, okay, in a nice negative file. We need a digital camera. In my particular case, it's a Nikon Z9. Doesn't have to be this fancy. It can be anything that you like. Because most digital cameras nowadays have the resolution to be able to see these images in a great deal of detail. It helps if you have a macro lens. This is the Nikon 105mm f2.8, which is a pretty nice macro lens, but again, you don't need it. What you do need is some kind of stand to put the camera on. Now, typically you can use your regular your tripod. That's perfectly fine, as long as it has an arm that will fit horizontally. And I happen to use this stand. I got it from Amazon. I think it wasn't all that expensive, but it's just a really easy way to mount your camera, as I'll show you here. There we go. And there's the camera mounted on the stand. And the nice thing about this is it keeps it absolutely vertical and also horizontal in this plane as well. Now the next thing we need, let's get that out of the way, is a remote release, or you can use your time release. I happen to like this remote release. It's only cheap. I think it was like sort of $10 or something from Amazon, and that just plugs in the side of the camera. Then we need a light source. Okay, so again, this is from Amazon. I think it was $20, and it provides a nice even backlight illumination so that you can work with the camera. I've actually cut these already into strips of 6, but if you want to process your entire roll in one go, that's also easy to do. I have heard that you can actually use a phone as a backlight, but it's whatever suits you there. Then what I did is I 3D printed, well, first off, I laser cut this piece of plywood, nothing special about it, and it fits on top. It's located here. And then I 3D printed these mounts where I keep the where I can feed the images through. Before I had the mounts, I just used a piece of cardboard, and I just had a piece of cardboard with a slot in it. In fact, I might even have it somewhere. No, I think I threw it out. But it was literally just a piece of cardboard with a rectangle cut in it. And I just fed the film along that, and it worked fine. So what happens here is, if I just take these images, I'll take this first strip. Here it is here. And you see it's got a glossy side. Hopefully, see that? And it's got a dull side. Okay, the dull side is where the image is. That's the actual emulsion. And what I do is I feed it into this little holder here. Okay, and there it goes. And if I remove the camera, I move this over here, you can now see the image. There's the next one, there's the next one, etc. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to get it centered in the middle. Okay. Then we take the digital camera, mount it on here. I've already set this so it's horizontal and vertical, so otherwise you should check that. Then what I do is I flip up the screen on my camera, and I get this roughly centered. It should be set at the correct height. I can manually focus it. There we go. Okay, as you can see, it's focused correctly there. Now the big thing about this is you've got to make sure you get a really good image. You can see my histogram on the screen there. Okay, here it's upside down because I got the camera upside down. And I'm going to give it 1 or 2 stops of exposure to make sure I get details in the dark areas, which will turn into the light areas on the final item, on the final image file. Okay, so next thing you should do, you should turn off any lights in the room, because you want to make sure that you don't get any reflections which will affect this. This will be hopelessly overexposed on the camera because of the it's gone dark. But what I do is I just take a picture of the image. Then what I do is I move on to the next image. This looks to be some power pylons. Okay, focus it and go. Okay, and we'll do another one. There's some more power pylons. Of course, I can click on the screen, take an image if I want to. So now we've got 3 images. Let me just see if we do another one. Move along here. Some kind of flowers. Okay. All right. So now I've got it on a stand. I've got the remote release. We've got some nice crisp images, hopefully. So then we're going to move on to the next stage, which is on the computer. What we're going to do now is we're going to import the files from the camera where we scanned the images that we took. So I'm in Lightroom. Let's go File, Import, and I'm going to select my source, which is here, and I'm going to, these are the latest files. I'm just going to label them Test for this example. And actually I think I've duplicated that one, so I'll deselect that and we will go import. Okay, so we've imported them into Lightroom. Just take a few seconds. So as we can see, all of these have been scanned emulsion side up. So the first thing we got to do is select all of them, and then what we have to do is to make a mirror image of them, otherwise they'll be pointing the wrong way. So we go your photo, flip horizontal, so they're all pointing the right way, and then we just have to correct them so they're all make that right there, like that one, that one, that one. Okay, and as you can see, we've got a little bit of a border around these. Now the easy way of converting these into black and white images is to use a program called Negative Lab Pro, which is a plugin. It's not very expensive. I think it's about $50. And what it does is it automatically you could set various parameters where it will convert the files for you. So first off, what we're going to do is we're going to select a black and white camera, and this border buffer, it's so that software ignores the borders. As you see, we've got these sort of areas around the outside here, so about 10% is usually good, and I'm going to convert 4 negatives. These are pretty big files. They're about 60 megabytes each, something like that. 45.4 megabytes each, so they're quite large files. And here we go. All right, so now we've got the images converted, and we can select various parameters. I tend to go with linear gamma. Okay, it tends to give me the results that I like, and I think that will do for the moment. So I'm just going to apply them, and then we can look at the images in turn. Now I can go into develop, and what I like to do here is just to crop out the borders. Okay, something like that. Looks good. Okay, now we can see here by the red marks that we've got some highlights. So I go back into Negative Lab Pro, and I'm going to turn the highlights down a little bit, and I think I want a bit more contrast, not too much. Okay, turn the lights down a bit. Well, that's about right. I think I like that. Okay, so then we apply, go on to the next image. Not a particularly wonderful one, but let's go to the crop it. Okay, here we go. That looks okay. And go back to Negative Lab Pro. This one I definitely want to boost up the, I'm going to go select linear gamma again. I'm going to boost up the contrast. I'm going to tone down the highlights a bit and apply it. Okay, just out of interest, that's the grain structure on this. So this is enlarged 200%. If I go up to 400%, okay, you can see it's very detailed now. You can see the grain in the negative, but that's a huge print. I mean, this print at the moment, if I was to print this out, would be 20 by 14 or something or whatever. So we're getting very good definition for an image derived from film. Yeah, very good. Okay, go on to the next one. Okay, so we do the same thing again. Crop. Okay, crop that. Looks okay. Do that. Select linear gamma. I can actually sync all of these settings. If all of the images are the same or similar exposure. Okay, I like that. I'm going to increase the darks a bit, a little bit more contrast. Okay, apply that, and then go on to the last one. And so crop. There we go. Okay, and then Control N on my computer. Let's try linear gamma again. Okay, a bit of the highlights need to be toned down a touch, a little bit more contrast, and there we go. So if I go back, see all four of them, we got very quickly we got 4 nice images. Now, if I want to do more things with this, for example, this one is probably the best of the bunch. What I can do is I can convert it into a file that Lightroom, you can then use the Lightroom adjustments. If I use the Lightroom adjustments now, because it's a negative image that's been processed in Negative Lab Pro, it'll, things will get a bit weird. For example, all the controls will work backwards. So I'm just going to say I'm going to make a copy. Okay, I just apply a copy, and then it'll make a copy. And actually, I've made a copy of all 4 of them. That was my mistake. But if I go back here, and I have to go back there, we will see 4 images. So it saves these as a TIFF image. Now I can use my Lightroom controls and they'll all work properly. In other words, if I increase exposure or decrease exposure, it'll all work out good. So now of course I can use things like the paintbrush and say I wanted a bit more detail around the eyes, so I can decrease the size of the brush, select this area here, okay, and then what I can do is I can bring out a bit more detail but not affecting the rest of it. Okay, so it's just a normal Lightroom editing that you can do. That's quite a nice image. In fact, I might even crop that a bit more and lose some of that background. Crop in tight. So again, if I zoom in on this, this image would be about 4 feet by 2.5 feet if it was on the if I printed it out on paper. But that's as astonishing detail you can get from scanning a HP5 negative. So of course now you can take it into Photoshop, you can print it out, you can do whatever you like with it. But the whole process, as I see, is very quick and easy. So I hope that helps. Any questions, don't hesitate to contact me.